Women are also the first to be fired. Like the young women at Bed and Bath Prestige, the women in this Bangkok neighborhood saw their factory jobs disappear. They had no option but to go into the almost invisible world of homework. It's an increasing reality in the lives of millions of women in the global economy. Their only contact is the middleman, who drops off materials and picks up finished shoes. They suspect they are working for a foreign company, though it isn't clear who.
You can easily spot the work for foreign countries because of the sizes. They're much bigger. Big shoes, very big. Like size 30 or something. Wow.
The work is tedious, unhealthy, labor-intensive. And they're paid much less than the legal minimum wage.
It doesn't matter whether the economy goes up or down. What we're paid keeps going down. Before, 10 to 12 baht. They told us the economy is down. Could they get it for less?
They are paid by piece rate. And it's coming down to 9 baht, 8 baht, 7 baht. And I could not believe it sometimes. How can they make it? So how can they make a living? So they said they just extend their hours of work. Sometimes they have to work until midnight to finish 40 shoes.
7 baht means these women are paid less than 17 cents for every shoe they sew.
We have to buy our own needles. This one's about 20 baht. Very expensive. Sewing 2 shoes won't even buy you 1 needle.
It's called outsourcing. Global corporations have found they can make more money this way. They use foreign subcontractors to manufacture the products they sell.
They tell us, if you don't want to sew, I can give it to someone else.
If we don't do the work, other people would.
So it's like this. They lower prices, and still we sew.
Outsourcing also means corporations can distance themselves from the responsibilities of being an employer. Workers receive no benefits, and job security is a mirage.
You can take any multinational corporation like Nike, Adidas, Reebok. They hold the same theory that, you outsource because that will give you less problem. They just want to make it a kind of minimum, responsibility to them. After human being, they don't care anymore about what ILO would be saying, what the trade union would be saying, because they have this outsourcing. And they have all these subcontracted workers. They have a lot of unemployed people who are waiting for their job to be subcontracted to them.
Shoes that women in Thailand sew end up in department stores in the United States. But in the U.S., using sweatshop labor can be bad PR. So 5 years ago, faced with rising criticism, Nike, Reebok, and a handful of other companies adopted a code of conduct. They agreed to monitor their subcontractors, to work with them to ensure that workers would be paid the local minimum wage and would not be forced to work more than 60 hours a week. In short, what they sell would not be produced by exploited labor. At Bed and Bath Prestige, those promises were printed on a card the young women were required to wear around their necks.
This is the factory's employee card. It says that Nike and your factory are working together by using the certification of Nike that will be posted in the factory, which dictates that you will be treated fairly with a safe working environment.
If you lost it, it costs 20 baht to replace it. That's about it. No one really knows what it is.
I only started understanding after we started protesting. I know now that according to Nike's rules, overtime shouldn't have been more than 12 hours per week.
The fact is, they worked at least 70 hours a week. And instead of the minimum wage, they were paid by piece rate, 5 baht or 12 cents for sewing a dozen pieces. But before every inspection by Nike, the workers say they were rehearsed by their employers.
They knew exactly the day the client would come, and they would stage a practice run the day before.
We had to wear face masks. The company would quiz people on how they would answer Nike's questions if we were asked, and they would tell how to answer.
We had to memorize it. They told us if they ask you what you earn, you have to tell them minimum wage.
The factory would tell us to lie if we were asked how late we worked overtime. We would have to answer 8 p.m., when in reality, we were there until 11 p.m. or midnight, sometimes till morning.
They say that if you don't answer correctly, then we are finished. I'm finished and you're finished. There are a lot of laborers in Thailand, so it is up to you whether you want to have work or not.
And there's the rub. In the global competition that pits the poorest countries and the poorest workers, one against the other, they are all trapped. If a worker tells the truth, or the Thai government enforces its laws, companies will move on.
I never thought it would be like this. I thought the ministry was this big power who could solve our problems. Since I've been here, I've realized you can't get justice without a fight.
After 10 weeks, almost 200 workers had given up. They could no longer afford to protest. Their families back home needed money, so somehow they would have to find work elsewhere.
What do they expect us to do? Go to another factory and be treated the same way again? Are we just supposed to keep taking it? Isn't there some way to create some security for us, so that when we go to work somewhere else, this won't happen again? Many of my friends here have cried over their behavior. They don't help, they only step on us. Who are we supposed to go to if not them? What do we have to do? Get naked? Die? If I die and it does something, I will. I dare. But I don't want to die for nothing.
3 months and 9 days after their sit-in began, the government finally came through, offering Suni and the protesters still on the scene what amounted to $448 each. It was less than what they were owed by law, but without their courage, they would have received nothing. In Thailand, it was considered a victory.
An economist friend told me that, well, Thailand's labor was just too expensive. I mean, that's how economists see things. You're too expensive, that's why they moved over to other places. That's commodification. And basically you can use that to measure lives as well, you know, like, so that means workers' lives here are cheaper than there.
Young women come into these factories as little more than children and leave exhausted or even ill, with no money in their pockets and no training or skills. They are making globalization work, and they are being burned up as its natural fuel.